From the rolling terrain of the Asian steppe to the deepest freshwater reservoir on Earth, the path from Ulaanbaatar to Lake Baikal is a journey through primordial nature and shifting frontiers. Welcome to Out of Bounds, and in this video, we embark on a multimodal expedition across the northern edge of the Gobi and into the Siberian taiga, traveling from the Mongolian capital of Ulaanbaatar over an international border to the frozen shores of Lake Baikal. We begin just outside of Ulaanbaatar station, where a railway monument displays the national flags of both Mongolia and Russia. UBTZ, the national railway operator of Mongolia, is actually a 50-50 joint venture by the two governments. The Ulaanbaatar railway station traces its history back to 1949, when the Trans-Mongolian Railway reached the capital city. The station exterior combines socialist realism architecture with Mongolian ethnic symbolism. I am traveling in March, where the calendar says it is spring, but temperature here still goes down to minus 10 to 15 degrees Celsius. So let's get inside quickly. No ticket check or security screening required to enter this large hall with grand classical decorations. There are some seats, though not enough for everyone on the full train. For more seating, you can circle to the back hallway, where there is also a cafe. If you go forward a bit, there is a handy supermarket for snacks and other travel supplies. On the other side of the hallway, you can find a diner. Nothing fancy here, but it's good if you want some hot sandwiches or sausage. There is currently a direct train from Ulaanbaatar to the city of Irkutsk in Russia, but that train runs only about once a week, and its timing didn't really align with my schedule, so we will be taking a Mongolian domestic train for the first leg here. If you're considering the same trip, then it should be pretty easy to follow this same route, as the trains and buses shown here run daily, at least as of filming. Tonight's train is the UBTZ 263 service, departing from Ulaanbaatar and bound for the northern border town of Sukhbaatar. The train consists of classical carriages built by the Amendorf factory in former East Germany, which famously produced tens of thousands of railcars used throughout the Soviet bloc. If you look closely though, the destination plates on some of the cars say Erdenet. Indeed, this train is a combination of the Sukhbaatar and Erdenet-bound services. They will be split at Darhan station in the middle of the night, with some of the cars reversing onto a spur line to Erdenet, Mongolia's second largest city and home to a major copper mine. Our train will be pulled by these two TE116UM diesel locomotives. This pair of 009 units were manufactured in 2011 by the Luhansk Locomotive Works. They output a combined total of 7,200 horsepower and are capable of 100 kilometers per hour maximum speed. I think the liveries on these massive locomotives look fantastic. Boarding starts about 30 minutes before scheduled departure. After a brief ticket check, let's get in. I got a ticket in the Tasselglat class, equivalent to the Russian coupe class or the Chinese soft sleeper. There are 4 berths per enclosed compartment, and there are plenty of storage spaces both under the lower bunk and above the compartment door. This ladder can both help people get to the top bunks and hold the lower bunk in place. Pretty clever. Bed sheets and pillow covers are provided separately in this sealed bag. There are several light switches, but electricity will only be turned on a bit later. My lower berth ticket here cost 60,800 Mongolian tugrik. Overall, the hardware certainly feels retro, but it is clean and functional. At 18:55, our train departed Ulaanbaatar station on time for the 381-kilometer leg to Sukhbaatar. Time to wave goodbye to these high-rises, as you won't see anything like them elsewhere in Mongolia. A lot of different carriages are parked near Ulaanbaatar station, including these white ones which used to run the K23-24 international service to Beijing. Though as of filming, only China Railway has resumed operating the Beijing-Ulaanbaatar route. As we leave the urban sprawl behind, let's quickly look at some other parts of the train. This carriage has a handicapped compartment. As there is no handicapped passenger today, the attendant rests here. Restroom on the train is clean, although because it directly discharges onto the tracks, it is closed when the train stops at larger stations. Onboard charging was kind of a problem for me though. There are USB charging ports inside the compartments, but the ones in my compartment didn't work. There are also proper sockets at the end of the car and along the hallway, though my clunky adapter and charger kept falling off. The classic samovar or hot water dispenser is thankfully much more reliable. The hot water is free, and you can also buy some tea or coffee from the attendant as needed. As this train apparently does not have a dining car, I'm having this chicken sandwich for dinner. I just picked it up from the diner before departure, and it is still warm. After finishing the sandwich, it's time to get back to the compartment and set up for the night. You pretty much make your own bed here, and you don't necessarily have to use all the layers if you don't want to, as the train interior is really quite toasty. The pillow is a beanbag. It's not the biggest or the softest, but I didn't really mind. Bed size is sufficient for me, with a few centimeters to spare. I think passengers under 187 centimeters or 6'2" should be fine here. We do stop at quite a few stations overnight, although they are mostly small. And since it's night, I can't really see anything other than a bit of snow and the occasional flashlight signals. That is, until the train pulls into Darhan station. Darhan is the third largest city of Mongolia, with about 90,000 residents. It is a planned industrial city built in the 1960s with extensive support from the Soviet Union and other then socialist countries such as Poland and Hungary. Today, it is still a center for heavy industry, with coal mining and metallurgy being key activities. It is now around 4:30 in the morning as we approach Sukhbaatar station, this train's final stop. The town of Sukhbaatar was founded in 1940 and has a population of about 22,000 people. Located near the border, it primarily acts as Mongolia's northern gateway, as there are both rail and road links to Russia. The Trans-Mongolian Railway beyond Sukhbaatar goes into Russia via a border crossing at Naushki. Today's domestic train terminates at Sukhbaatar, so everyone disembarks into the blistering cold. Let's now go find the onward cross-border bus. We'll need to go to the right side of the station building, exit out to a parking lot. Then the bus to Ulan-Ude is there, waiting for us. If you're not sure, ask a station staff or an officer. As of filming, ticket for this bus is 62,000 Mongolian tugrik per person, or about $17. It is apparently possible to book this bus online ahead of time, but if you haven't done so, it's best to have either Mongolian or Russian cash on hand, as the bus accepts both. The bus itself is fairly comfortable with soft seats and big leg space. There is even functioning Wi-Fi on board. What a pleasant surprise! The bus departed at 5 o'clock, about 25 minutes after the train's arrival. Despite the extreme temperature swings throughout the year, road condition is pretty good. And about 20 minutes later, we arrive at the Ulaanbaatar border crossing. Mongolian border police comes on board for a preliminary inspection. Then we move forward a bit more and disembark for Mongolian exit procedures. Crossing here even at this early hour is no problem at all, as Ulaanbaatar is a major checkpoint that works 24/7. Everyone is cleared in less than 20 minutes, and we head back onto the bus. There is one onboard preliminary check by Russian border force as well, and they'll also hand out paper entry forms for foreign travelers to fill out. There is no time difference upon crossing here. Around 6:20, everyone gets off with their luggage at the Kyakhta border crossing. Russian entry procedure is a bit longer, but around 40 minutes later, we're back on the bus and driving into open Siberia. The town of Kyakhta out of the window may look unassuming, but it has in fact long been a gateway of the historic tea road across Eurasia. In 1727, Imperial Russia and the Qing dynasty of China signed the Treaty of Kyakhta here that established their borders, later inherited as part of the modern border between Mongolia and Russia. The treaty also set up a pair of posts for bilateral trade. By that time, tea had already gained popularity in Russia, and it quickly became the #1 commodity at Kyakhta. Originating in the terrace farms of southern Chinese provinces such as Yunnan and Fujian, loose leaves would be fried, steamed, and compacted into tea bricks suitable for long-distance travel. Then the tea would be carried by camel caravans through the Gobi Desert to Kyakhta, where it would be loaded onto sleds or carts and eventually make it to Moscow or St. Petersburg on the other side of the continent. For much of the rest of the bus ride, we basically travel near, next to, or across the Selenge River. This transnational river flows for about 1,000 kilometers from Mongolia into Lake Baikal in Russia. In Mongol traditions, Selenge is often considered the nurturing mother river of the steppes, as lush pastures along the Selenge and its tributaries sustained the nomadic way of life. In Siberian folklore, Selenge is personified as Lake Baikal's eldest son, who dutifully brings wealth into the family. This is indeed a pretty accurate representation of actual geography, as the Selenge, with a drainage basin of 447,000 square kilometers, contributes nearly half of the water that enters Lake Baikal. The large ice field to the left is Lake Gusinoye. Literally meaning Goose Lake, it is a stopping point for massive flocks of migratory geese. As local culture often views geese as divine messengers, the lake is also a spiritual center of Buddhism in Russia. In the 20th century, large coal deposits were discovered in the area as well. This led to the founding of the city of Gusinoyorsk. Today, the Gusinoyorsk power station remains one of the largest in eastern Russia. After a brief pit stop, we get back on the road for the final stretch into Ulan-Ude. On the roadside, you can see the Zagustayski Datsun, a Buddhist monastery originally founded in 1784. We are also traveling quite close to the northern stretch of the Trans-Mongolian Railway here. From the Naushki rail border crossing, it continues for another 258 kilometers before joining the Trans-Siberian Railway just east of Ulan-Ude. After dramatically crossing the frozen Selenge, we finally arrive at the city of Ulan-Ude. The bus completed the 260-kilometer drive in a bit over 5 hours, including the time spent at the 2 sets of border checks. In 1666, a team of Cossacks sent by the Tsar to explore and collect tribute from the local Buryat and Evenki tribes built a winter camp at the confluence of Uda and Selenge rivers. The camp became the origin of Ulan-Ude. Over the centuries, the city always benefited from trade and exchange, first as a nexus on the T Road and later as an important railway junction. As we approach city center, a triumphal arch welcomes us. The original arch was built in 1891 to celebrate the visit of then Crown Prince Nicholas, back when the city was known as Vernyudinsk. The arch was subsequently destroyed but later rebuilt in 2006. Beyond the arch, a large Stalinist building flanks the city square. This is the Buryat State Opera and Ballet Theater. In the theater square in front of the building stands an elegant sculpture composition. Titled The Beauty of the Angara, it celebrates Buryat ballet legends Larissa Sakyanova and Peter Abasheyev. Their pose is based on the Siberian folklore of Angara, personified as Lake Baikal's only daughter who ran away from her father to be with her lover Yenisei. On the city square itself, a large Lenin monument dominates the space. Unlike the more common full-body sculpture, this colossal head itself is 7.7 meters tall. Commissioned to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lenin's birth in 1970, it is generally recognized as the largest of its kind in the world. After spending some time in the city, we reach Ulan-Ude railway station. First opened over 100 years ago in 1900, the station underwent significant restoration in the mid-2000s. The current station features a striking dome, reflecting Buryatia's local identity. After a security screening, we are inside the station. I've got about 2 hours to kill and it's around lunchtime, so let's find something to eat first. There is a cafeteria conveniently located inside the station. The selection is a bit limited, but it will do for now. Apparently, there is another restaurant with a bigger menu just outside the station the way I came, but I didn't feel like going out into the Siberian cold again, especially since I found a nice spot to charge my devices. I got a chicken sandwich and a sosiska vychesche, or Russian hot dog, and both were not bad. The first floor of the station is a bit crowded, but the second floor is much quieter, and there are actually quite a few nice decorations. One end of the station features a small exhibit on Ulan-Ude's history and Mongol heritage. On the other end, on the walls above the main hall, there are 4 large mosaic panels. These are intricately made with the Florentine mosaic technique, using precisely cut marble, granite, and other stones from the Baikal region. The panels depict local legends, the traditional tea road trade, and the modern railway, forming a cohesive narrative that celebrates Buryachia's land, people, and history. Platform information of departing trains is displayed around 40 minutes before the scheduled time. Not surprisingly, our train 81 from Ulan-Ude today leaves from platform 1. This train goes all the way to Moscow, but I'll only take it for a few hours to the town of Slyuzhanka. The train is pulled onto the tracks by a TEM-18DM shunting locomotive. This 1308 unit is fairly new, manufactured in 2019 at the Bryansk machine building plant in western Russia. This locomotive will not pull us out of the station though. Let's walk to the other end of the train to see the real workhorse, just in time. This EP1P061 unit was manufactured in 2010 at the Novocherkassk electric locomotive plant. Its designed top speed is slightly lower at 120 km per hour in order to improve traction on steep gradients. The rest of the train consists of cars manufactured at the Tver Carriage Works. After a brief ticket check, let's get on board. At 13:48, we depart Ulan-Ude station and start the final 330-kilometer leg to Lake Baikal right on time.
Чуть не опоздал. Но он такой тормозной, попался в таксист, ой, вообще, я ему говорю, ко мне 20 минут, что тут разберут машину. Еще в учебную. Ну, давай, отдыхай. А?
I got a ticket in the Platzkart class, which is the open sleeper section of the train. It has 3 levels, although Russian railway is merciful and does not jam passengers onto the top bunks. They are used as storage racks instead. On the other side of the aisle, there are 2 more side berths aligned parallel to the wall. This carriage has a relatively updated interior and a good array of facilities. Space is admittedly a bit tight, especially on the side berths, but once you settle in, it's still pretty comfortable. A ticket here from Ulan-Ude to Slyuzhanka cost me 1,820 Russian rubles, or around $25 US. Russian Railway does use dynamic pricing, so the actual fare can fluctuate. The onboard dispenser offers both cold and hot water, which is very nice. You can also buy drinks and snacks from the attendant as needed. There are 2 restrooms on one side of the carriage. They are nice and clean, and one even has an onboard shower. We are now traveling along the Selenge River, still very much frozen. The river crossing here splits into 2 separate bridges, with one for each direction. This 2-bridge setup is fairly common in this part of the rail network. As the Selenge is prone to ice floods during the spring thaw, the bridge's stone piers are protected by massive icebreakers pointed in the upstream direction. The Trans-Siberian Railway is an artery of steel that has defined the Russian nation. At a length of 9,288 kilometers, it is the longest continuous rail line in the world, connecting Moscow with Vladivostok on the Pacific coast across 8 time zones. Construction began in 1891 under Tsar Alexander III and was also overseen by his son, the future Tsar Nicholas II. First opened in 1904, the monumental feat of engineering facilitated the mass migration of peasants to Siberia and the region's industrialization. Surviving through revolutions, wars, and the rise and fall of the Soviet Union, today the entire length of the Trans-Siberian Railway is fully electrified, and busy passenger and freight trains run on it 24/7. As the land outside transitions from open steppe to the more forested taiga, the train passes through several settlements, many with industries based on local mineral and timber. Around 4 in the afternoon, a vast shimmering ice field suddenly appears next to the tracks. This is Lake Baikal, at its most surreal. At 31,722 square kilometers, Lake Baikal is the world's 7th largest lake by surface area. It is formed by a continental rift, where tectonic plates slowly tear apart and form a deep chasm. With a maximum depth over 1,600 meters, Lake Baikal is the deepest lake in the world and, famously, the world's largest freshwater reservoir, containing roughly 20% of the unfrozen freshwater on planet Earth, more than all of the North American Great Lakes combined. Now wait a minute, unfrozen? The lake here sure looks frozen to me, you say. Well, yes, the lake's surface is now covered with solid ice up to 1 or 2 meters thick. But while the surface is affected by Siberia's extreme temperature swings, the lake is so exceptionally deep that the vast majority of its volume never freezes. In deeper parts of the lake, the pristine water remains around 4 degrees Celsius year-round. The freezing and thawing at the surface, however, does cause significant convection, churning oxygen-rich water throughout the lake and allowing life to thrive at incredible depths. This makes Lake Baikal one of the most biodiverse ecosystems on Earth. Even on the surface, the ice shield is far from a monolith. Due to temperature fluctuations, the ice sheets constantly expand and collide, creating hummocks along the shore. The ice also sometimes cracks with a sound like snapping string or thunder. Local legends say this is Baikal personified as an old man speaking to the spirits of the mountains.
Который шел с ребенком из школы, рассказывал потом журналистам, я услышал свист, толкнул сына в подъезд, а потом не доехал, вышел в прессе через час. Все туристы в панике улетали. И отреагировали сразу. Соединенные Штаты, которые поддерживали запись с самого начала, призвали сдержку.
We're nearing our stop Slujanka, so let's get ready to get off. The lower side bunk nicely folds into a table and 2 seats. Clever. While the population of Slujanka is relatively small at around 18,000, it is nevertheless a key node on the Trans-Siberian and an important gateway to the Baikal region for visitors. At 1907, Train 81 arrived at Platform 2 of Slujanka 1 station. We covered the 330-kilometer section in 5 hours 19 minutes, 2 minutes ahead of schedule, just as the sun sets. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed this odyssey to Lake Baikal in the heart of Eurasia. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more travel and border crossing content. Have a great day, and see you in the next one.